Hey everybody, it's Dave here from Vikings First and Skull, and we're about to start another week of the Fans First Sports Network's NFC North Roundup show, Who Will Be King? And as usual, let's start it out with an epic, stirring poem to get your blood flowing as we talk all four teams in the NFC North. Neath a sky of steel where cold winds bite, the NFC North stirs in the winter's night. A show rides forth on the airwaves bold. Who will be king? A tale retold. From fans' first hearts, the voices rise. Pay, June, and Foster, and Dave's stern eyes. Luft growls low, their saga spun, of kings to crown when the frost is done. Pay lifts his chant for Bear's grim lot, a season bruised, a hope not forgot. Johnson's our blade, he cries to the storm, to shield young Caleb from the sack-born harm. 65 million a war chest bright for linemen stout against the autumn fight. Fans howl back through the icy sprawl. Build the trench or we will lose it all. June and Foster, Lions twin flame, roar of pride that shook the game. 15-2, yet the crown slipped free by Washington's hand in a playoff spree. Shepherd, take reins, they growl with might. Morton stokes fire through the endless night. A Garrett gleams in their fervid dreams. Detroit's faithful roar by frozen stream. Dave, the Skull Lord, stern and wise, sings of Vikings 'neath burdened skies. 14-3, a Ram's cruel jest. 9 sacks to bury, a season blessed. Darnold or McCarthy, he ponders deep, a quarterback's fate in the snow to keep. With Murphy's fate and Jones to bind, 66 million shapes the grind. Luft talks Packers with a snarl so raw. Cheers a wild card loss to the Eagles' claw. Alexander's thread he rumbles low to cut or hold as the cap winds blow. 37 million, a draft pick slim. Green Bay's hopes ride on love's young hymn. Fans clad in gold cross the tundra call. Forge us a king, or we'll see you fall. Through the airwaves, while their voices clash, a Northland tale in the frost-cold flash. From Chicago's den to Detroit's proud roar, from Skull's deep chant to the Packers' lore. Who will be king? The cry resounds, a crown to claim on these icy grounds. In February's chill, the saga sown, who'll rule the North when the spring's winds moan? Let the battles begin. Hey everybody, it's Dave here from Vikings First and Skull, and welcome to the NFC North Roundup show, Who Will Be King? Gathered with me today On the viewer's far left is Pay, representing Chicago. How are things in the Windy City there, buddy?
Cold. I just touched down here this morning, and it is 11 degrees here, Dave. 11, and that is a 3-day high, from what I understand. Yesterday had a high of 3.
Uh-huh. Well, I know my brethren up in Minnesota have been suffering over the last few days, and it's down in the negative digits, like negative 25-ish there as well. So it's been cold. Ugh. How's things in Detroit, June?
Well, we're much warmer here than Pay. We're at a balming 18 degrees here, so it's actually a lot warmer than it was yesterday. I tell you that. I think the low yesterday was 0, and I think the high was about 10. So today we're at 18. We're doing good. I mean that's what happens around here, this time of year. It gets cold.
Foster, you planning a trip to watch catchers and pitchers report down where it's warm?
He's probably already there.
I wish. No, I'm up here. No, I'll be around. I'll be waiting on him to get here around April, and hopefully there won't be snow on the ground now.
Okay. Hey, big announcement today. The NFL came out and said the salary cap will be set somewhere between 27.5 and 281.5 for this year. Over the cap has it split at 29 or at 27.95. So that puts the cap in a closer relative position. Now, the numbers I talked to on the poem are off by just a bit, but hey, it is what it is. Now, we have, do you remember where you were in 2024 when it went up by 31 million? Nah, me neither. Salary cap space isn't the issue. The issue is finding good players. Never has been. Unless you're over the cap, like the Saints and 5 other teams? But anyways, now let's start off by saying welcome to the show, and welcome everybody that's watching and has chimed in so far and made it through that poem of mine. You enlightened my day. So anyways.
How long did it take you to write that poem there, Dave?
Oh, the writing part wasn't that bad. The editing part was the bad part. And then going in and
ChatGPT.
Well, it was AI
Google,
to do it.
Google Notebook.
Grok,
Yeah.
actually.
Okay. All right. I feel you.
Is to write it and then go in and edit it and then to broadcast it and all that sort of stuff. But anyways, or to tape it. But it is what it is. Now, let's start with news in your city. Pay, what's happening with the Bears?
The Bears, the biggest. You use the word news. I don't know if you want to, besmirch news with this type of stuff that we got going on. We have some rumblings that if you open your Bleacher Report app, they've got some rumors and linkings the Bears to top free agents. I'm blanking on his name. Trey Smith. Trey Smith out of Kansas City, probably the top offensive lineman on the that might be available this offseason. And they're linking him to the Bears with a 5-year, north of $100 million contract. Probably reset the market for a guard.
Which put it around 22 million to 24-ish.
Yeah, that's good money for a guard. Great money. The Bears can use 2 new guards. There's also been, again, open your Bleacher Report app and some other apps. If it's that mock season, nothing else going on before the combines. People are doing mocks. There's a lot of mocks are putting the Bears with one of the top offensive linemen out of the draft. Some of them have said the Bears are going to draft Ashton Genty. Don't follow those publications. Just go ahead and unsubscribe from them. They don't pull out quality work. We're not going to say their name, but if they say the Bears are drafting a running back in the top 10, just, you know what it is. They're not doing their homework. Their stuff, they're just for shits and giggles. They're just for clicks. But yeah, that's been pretty much it. But I did see something interesting that got Chicago up in a stir the other day when Courtney Cronin, you know her, one of your favorite
Beat writers.
Bears report. Yeah, beat writers. She hypothesized that there could be a free agency pull, a big one from the Bears coming up. Guess his name.
Aaron Rodgers going to Chicago.
That was it. That was it. Eric, she hypothesized that the Bears. Well, let me set the stage a little bit. She said that the last 5 years for Aaron Rodgers' career ain't been the best for his legacy, and I think we all could agree with that. Just being fair about it, right? The best thing he could do right now, if he wants to continue playing football, is to heal that. And the reason why he hasn't been that great in his legacy is he hasn't done the best thing for the next generation, whether that be in New York or that be in Green Bay. And if he wants to, change the narrative on his ending of his career, he can go ahead and do that in Chicago and mentor the next generation with Caleb Williams. And I'm gonna do something that I don't usually do, Dave. I don't usually speak for other people. And I am in no capacity to speak for the Bears organization, and I don't want to speak for Bears Nation, but I'm going to. I'm going to say something from a joint perspective from both angles, and I'm going to unequivocally tell Courtney Cronin 2 words: fuck no.
Wow. And he meant that.
Oh, yes, he did.
He meant that.
What's funny, if you guys listen to our brethren in the FSN podcasting stream, Jeff Hartman being one, he's always given me grief and saying, hey, it'd be a perfect spot for Aaron Rodgers to land in Minnesota, right? And KT Smith says Dave's going to have heart pains if that's the case. And they get a response from me on Slack every single time. And it's just no way. But they came out with odds the other day. And you know which team leads getting Aaron Rodgers now?
Yeah.
The Steelers.
I would, you know what? That would make off-season content so good for me, at least. Maybe not for KT and Jeff Hartman and the rest of the Steel Curtain Nation, but for me, I would love it.
I bet you would.
Oh, I would eat that up. I've got takes for weeks.
Well, at least they wouldn't have to worry about losing in Sculpture Field, though.
No, they're not. They don't have to worry about doing anything except for another season of unimpressive returns.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. June, what's happening in Detroit this last week? What's the news around the Lions?
Just a lot of speculation on free agency needs and stuff like that. Some of those names that Pay mentioned has been mentioned around here as well. That offensive guard out of Kansas City. There's a lot of Myles Garrett talk. There's just speculation. I think things will be a little bit more clear as they get closer to the free agency period. I think that's March 12th, if I'm correct. But closer we get to that, I'm pretty sure there'll be more. But it's been relatively quiet around here as far as any significant news. They're also trying to figure out what they're going to do with Zadarius Smith. They can save $6 million if they release him, or and Hutch has been sprinting, so that's been one of the biggest things around here. So that's about it. Foster, if I'm missing something, you can chime in.
Yeah, you definitely. I was definitely going to talk about Hutch because there's video footage now of him running. Still a little bit awkward. Still getting back to getting back to form. He certainly would not have been ready for the Super Bowl the way people might have speculated. But also, Aleem McNeil has been rehabilitating. He's got some footage of him, bearing weight to that. It was ACL. So he's obviously behind in the progression as to where Hutch was because it was much later on in the year. But so he might possibly not be ready for the beginning of this upcoming season. In addition, we solidified our coaching staff. The last one being Tashard Choice, who's going to be the new running back coach, and I believe he coached Jahmyr Gibbs at Georgia Tech, which is where he
Yes.
started, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So outside of that, just some free agency speculation and us looking at the number of edge rushers and defensive linemen that will be available late in the first round. Oh no, I have one more thing. The hot topic as far as free agency right now is Darius Slay. The St. Brown brothers have their own podcast, and they recently interviewed him, and he stated that the Eagles or the Lions would be the two teams that he would be interested in returning. I mean, if he was going to not retire, because there was also talks that he might retire. So now that'll be floating around the return and the full circle situation with Darius. Big play Slay. Not so many big plays these days, though.
Yeah. Whoa. Is that an
Zero
actual
picks,
nickname for
zero.
him?
I think he had, how many picks he have in Detroit? Like 6 or something like that one year. So
That's what,
big play Slay was
Mm.
what he,
that's what
that
they
was the
used
thing,
to.
right, June?
That's
All
what
right.
they called it. It was a thing.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, he didn't wear nail polish or anything, but hey.
I mean, that would have went a long way, understanding the flair of it. Because big play Slay, I mean, that goes. I mean, when you hear nicknames like that, it's you think of guys like the former Super Bowl MVP of the Philadelphia Eagles, BD Nick. So stuff like that. Big play Slay, like, wow, okay, I get for BD Nick, but big play Slay, like, okay,
I mean, that
that's a
was
good
his
one.
name. That was his name in college and stuff. So he just went along with him. So
Okay.
Wait, who is BD Nick? I missed that.
he's trying to be funny.
Nick Foles.
Oh,
Don't feed into
No.
that.
We don't.
I
We don't
know.
do that. We don't,
I know.
Just don't do it.
Well, in Minnesota, we had some news this week. We had 5 players that were scheduled to be free agents, and their contract was scheduled to void on Monday. One was Aaron Rodgers. We find out he postponed his void date until free agency starts. And the other we just found out was Byron Murphy. We found out yesterday he also did the same. The ones that didn't, Stephon Gilmore, who most likely will retire. Trying to remember the other one. And Sam Darnold. And what it means is that it doesn't mean that we won't re-sign him. It just means if we do, we're still eating that void money right up front. And it's unlikely we'd re-sign him. And it's more of an indication that Sam Darnold will no longer be a Minnesota Viking. But that's not for sure yet. He's got to find himself a perfect suitor amongst the teams that are quarterback needy. Raiders. And we'll find out if that's going to be the case.
Jets,
Giants, Steelers, Browns. We'll see. I would think Browns would be actually a good one, but they don't have the money.
Whatever team Aaron Rodgers goes to.
Now, like all of you, we're sitting there dreaming about free agency and who we can get. The Vikings are targeting getting vertical on both the offensive line and the defensive line to be able to press vertically down the field. And in this case, I'm not talking about throwing the football. I'm talking about pushing bodies. So they've come out, and what happens if we cut Ed Ingram, who got benched halfway through the season? What happens if we cut Blake Brandel, who was, okay? What happens if we cut Garrett Bradbury, our starting center? Who do we get? And, of course, Trey Smith's been linked with us. You have Mekhi Becton out of Philly is one of them. There's a whole slew, well, not a whole slew, maybe a handful of guards that have been linked. And then the center from the Falcons, because the Falcons are over the cap, and they probably won't be able to pay for them without some real good cap gymnastics, and they're going to have to do that for Kirk Cousins anyways. So it's going to be interesting. Also, we're still waiting on whether Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah gets his extension. It was reported when Kevin got his that his was in the works. Kevin O'Connell, our head coach, got his, then won Coach of the Year. But Kwesi still hasn't been announced, and we're wondering why. Now, it's quite possible they just delayed over the Super Bowl week because they don't want it to interfere with the Super Bowl, or that they're coming up on what I'll call the Underwear Olympics in Indianapolis next week in the NFL Combine, and they'll announce it just prior to that, and then we get to see all our GMs and all our head coaches take to the podium and spout hopeful dreams for every fan base. Because that's what they do as they watch guys run around and jump and do cone drills.
I love cone drill time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, especially for linemen. You want to measure quickness and ability to change direction.
Measure quickness, measure foot speed, hand speed, just measure them in general.
Mm-hmm.
Fun week of football over analysis.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, but we love it though.
Where do we get their raw athletic scores?
Yeah. I can't get enough of it, Joan. Put it right in my veins.
Okay.
Now, unfortunately, some teams are moving away from that, which would
putting football in their veins, or
the raw athletic scores.
Okay,
they're going with the computerized, where they got the sensors in the deal, rather than take a 40-yard dash, right, which for a lineman is ridiculous, and plugging that in and said, "Hey, he ran a 4.5. Oh, that's great for a lineman." Yeah, it is. But how does it translate for on the field play? He's not going to be running a 40-yard dash on the field during the game day. He's going to be exploding off the line. How quickly can he respond and explode off the line? That's what we care about, right? For an offensive lineman, when it comes to speed, is actually quickness, and then hand play, strength, the whole works. But if they're going away from the RAS, raw athletic score, and more towards the monitors that they wear, it's going to be interesting.
Indeed.
And the computerized tracking has already proven that some players are better on the field than they are testing. And so you want that one. At least I would.
Game speed.
Yep, game speed. You got it. Now, let's see. Pay in Chicago, you lost your owner. Unfortunately, she passed away a little over 10 days ago, something like that. How is the transition to George McCaskey coming along? Has it been smooth, or is there possibility he might lose the team because of estate taxes or something like that?
Well, George McCaskey is her son, right? He's been running the team since 2011. Virginia, she hasn't ran the team at all, ever. She's been principal owner since it was passed down to her from her dad in the 83.
Yeah.
And then she almost well, I don't remember who ran the team from her getting the team from 83 to her giving it over to her husband, the senior McCaskey.
Now, for my viewers, who is Georgia McCaskey's dad, or was his dad, her dad?
That's George Hallis, Papa Bear. So yeah, he died. He left the team to her, and it split up between her and a lot of grandkids and so on and so forth. But she always held the majority of the stakes, somewhere around 80% from it at one point or another. She gave the football operations duties to her husband, Mr. McCaskey, and when he left, he passed it down to their son, George McCaskey, who's been running the Bears since 2011. So from a who's in charge standpoint, nothing's changes. From who has the most seats on the board, that is, it's not necessarily a football discussion, but I think that those things have to be played. Those things will be played out, but it's nothing that will be an issue, rather on the field or in upstairs, rather, because as you said, Dave, estate planning, all this stuff is done years in advance, right? All of the octogenarians or even the guys in their 70s that are in charge of teams and in every league, you have to do estate planning and plan for your succession. So it hasn't been announced to us yet what's going to happen as far as what happens next with the Bears ownership, but I'm more than certain that it's not going to be anything messy in the courts.
Okay, I was just curious because we know the stadium project seems to have stalled as usual.
Well, yeah, I don't think the two are connected, for one. But these things, it's a matter of politics. And greasing the right palms in some degrees. I do believe the Bears will be successful in getting what they desire. Maybe not at the cost they desire, but they're going to get a new stadium somewhere in the city of Chicago, maybe around the lakefront, or maybe somewhere near the lake, maybe a little hike away, but maybe not along the lakefront as they have now, as they've played for the last 100 years, but somewhere near. What's probably not going to happen is the other team that's in Chicago that's looking for the same thing. They're going to be asked out, and they're going to have to make some tough decisions. But this is a Bears town. Bears come first.
What's the other team? The White Sox?
Yeah, those guys. Yeah, get used to calling them the Tennessee White Sox.
Hey, if you lose every so horribly and set records doing it, expect to be shoot out of the city, I would think.
Yeah. I mean, shout out to Oakland Athletics. Oh, I'm sorry, the Vegas Athletics.
Sacramento.
Yeah, the Sacramento Athletics right now.
One of my viewers, Dan Henneman, asks, ask you, Pay, do the Bears want to re-sign Jenkins?
Do I think the Bears should re-sign Jenkins? I think that's
he's one of their offensive linemen, isn't he?
Yeah, he's probably our best offensive lineman. A prudent answer to that question would be it depends on the market, right? I don't think the free agent market is going to be very robust in offensive linemen. So Jenkins might be the best option. I would prefer that you use a tag on him and not lock him up long term. I would try to like dangle a carrot out there, like, hey, look, you want a long term deal? We need you to be healthy. Now, do I think the Bears do that? Probably not. I think they probably go into it wanting to move on from Jenkins and probably draft his replacement, but we shall see.
Gotcha. That's perfect transition to tagging. Are there anybody on your team, since we're now in the tag window, that you would like to see tagged? Hey, you just said Mr. Jenkins. Foster, is there anybody on the Lions that's going to be a free agent that you would consider tagging?
That's a very good
Maybe Carlton Davis, kind of for the same reasoning, staying healthy. Not that I don't even know if his history is full of injuries, but I think that's the only thing stopping us from just paying him whatever to bring him back, because he is a solid number one, is the fact that he missed the last. I mean, he missed the playoffs and the last 4 or 5 games because of a broken jaw, which isn't a nagging ankle hamstring. I mean, broken jaw is pretty
That's a
cut
one-off.
and dry. Yeah, but at the to if nothing else, to buy some time, see if Terrion Arnold develops, see if Ennis Rakestraw, who we drafted last year, see if he can develop, because he had a nagging hamstring that kept him out pretty much the entire year. So yeah, it certainly would buy us some time for more of Carlton's, the rest of his prime, uh, as Terrion Arnold sees if he's going to make that next step. So probably Carlton Davis.
Interesting. Well, the only tag talk in Minnesota that's serious, there is tagging Sam Darnold, but I doubt that's going to happen, is Byron Murphy, our corner, who was all-pro last year. And they're talking about tagging him at approximately anywhere from 17 to 20 million, depending on which tag. And we'll see, because there's a shortage of corners available out on the free market as well.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting as we roll through that time period in the next couple of weeks. And literally, we got 3 weeks until the new league year, and all this will be settled. And we'll be watching our news sources come across as the Bears sign so-and-so, the Vikings sign so-and-so, and the Detroit Lions sign so-and-so. And then we'll hear crickets from Green Bay.
Wow.
As they let everybody go and don't sign anybody, because that's what Green Bay does.
I wish that to be the case. Well, I wish that was the case, but Green Bay usually does what they're supposed to do in the offseason. But I would prefer, we're in a weird point in our history in this country, right? A lot of the country's getting away from DEI. I would prefer the Packers stand tall, stand 10 toes down, and continue doing some DEI stuff. They got a lot of, talented players over there. How about you diversify that? Bring in some bums.
Wow.
Now, the biggest news out of Green Bay has been the Jair Alexander speculation. He doesn't want to play there anymore.
Good for him.
And they've got a decision, to make on what do they want to do. I find it interesting. They'd like to trade him. I think he'd be perfect with wherever Aaron Rodgers goes, but that's just me. They seem to be very much the same person on opposite sides of the field. But hey, would you be interested in, since Detroit is trying to improve their cornerback situation. Jair Alexander.
Yes.
Foster is like, yeah, I'll take him.
It's without question, yes.
Okay, interesting. Pay?
I actually don't think that we could use that type of help. I don't want to reallocate assets where they're unneeded, but Jair Alexander would be an upgrade, no doubt about it. He's been a little unhealthy, especially this past season. He, didn't play a lot. I'm trying to think about the season beforehand. Was it the same? Did he have the
missed
same
14 games in 2 seasons.
14 games in 2 seasons, right? So that doesn't bode well for what we're trying to do in Chicago. We had an injury in our safety, Wilquan Brisker, and our season turned right around the second he got hurt. We would prefer a lot more durable guys, but in a perfect world, if you told me Jerry Alexander was 100% healthy, he was available, he was cost friendly, sure, come on up, put on that navy and orange.
You don't mind that he's got a quote attitude issue?
What football player doesn't?
The good ones tend to be a little bit of a headache sometimes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And would you believe that I even saw reported with Aaron Rodgers being released from the Jets, one of the possible landing spots is back in Green Bay.
What would he do in Green Bay?
I think it'd be great. But it was reported on ESPN. And okay, sure, he would back up Jordan Love is what he'd do.
So his dealer in Wisconsin, he couldn't find that same homegrown in New York. That's what it sounded like. So he got to go back to Wisconsin, where the pastures are a lot more greener, a lot more airy. Get that good dairy ashwanga.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the caves are a lot darker out there. I don't know. Maybe that's what's calling them.
Wow.
It could be. It's interesting. Now, they have about approximately $37 million going into the free agency. But like I said, they don't have a big history of getting a whole lot of free agents, so it's going to be interesting to see how they do. Who knows? But that's our friends in between us in the middle. Status of their team as of now. We shall find out as usual. Now, is there any other words of wisdom you wish to share, June?
It's like I said, it's been relatively quiet on the home front here. Like I said, the biggest news was we're expecting a full recovery from Hutch. He was sprinting. He was out there running at 6.40. He was he was huffing and puffing, but he's running. So that's the biggest news that we got this week. So, and it's very interesting to see free agency, who's going to be available, and I'm just waiting to see how the Lions approached this free agency. I didn't like the way they approached it last year. Had some some bad results. But we'll see. We'll see.
Oh yeah, I got something. I'm in Ross St. Brown. That same podcast where the Darius Slay interview happened. He was calling for the Lions to play the Eagles in the first game of the year. And in recent history, we have played Super Bowl winners in the first game of the year, and we fared pretty well in Arrowhead. So I think we could take that challenge on, head on without an issue.
Confidence. Love it. Speaking of injury recovery, we had film this week of JJ McCarthy out throwing and moving around on the field, and it was wonderful. And he's starting to put weight back on. It was just gorgeous. Can't wait.
Yeah, I love the enunciation, man. It's just
Every time.
yeah,
It's just
I love it.
He's the future of the Minnesota Vikings. He's probably the closest hope since Fran Tarkington.
Oh wow, that is
So it's going to be interesting. And right now it's just hope. But
yeah.
I'm hoping because, he won in high school, he won in college. He only lost 3 games total in his whole high school and college career. That he brings that to Minnesota.
I don't think Trevor Lawrence lost a game before he got drafted, right?
Hey,
He lost to Ohio State in the playoffs 1 year.
1 year, 1 game.
Yeah. Well, like JJ McCarthy. But it's going to be interesting. I can't wait. It's got me all excited. No matter what we do.
I always watch for Pay's reaction when people say stuff with the Slay thing, and now this. It's just it's something to watch.
Hey, it is what it is.
I'm a fan. What can I say? That's it, man. That's it. I'm just paying attention, man.
Yeah.
Well, next week we have the NFL Combine, which we'll all be watching, I'm sure, checking out the reports from there, and especially I care about the head coach and GM press conferences. We'll be looking at those. They'll be adding to our draft knowledge, who we might want to target, who we might not, who will fall to your position in the draft that you can go grab, like an offensive lineman for pay. And we'll see how that goes. Now, Pay, where can they find you and your shows?
You can find me and the rest of my merry band of Chicago angry sports fans at the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan Podcast / channel, available on YouTube and anywhere you get your podcast fix. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever are the rest. Amazon, Amazon Music, Pandora, we're everywhere. Just check that out. New episodes drop 3 to 4 times a week. We always got something. We post something every day on our YouTube channel and our TikToks. So go ahead and follow, subscribe, share with a friend, unsubscribe, resubscribe, and listen twice. Won't be a waste of time.
And all you have to do is ask your favorite device to play Frustrated Chicago Sports Fans, and they'll bring up the latest episode.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. June, where can they find you and your mini shows?
Yeah, before I get into that, I want to say you don't have to necessarily be a fan to check some of these channels out. I actually checked out the Chicago Frustrated Chicago Sports, and there's a lot of different personalities on there, and they're funny and they're entertaining. So go check them out. I mean, it's a lot to watch. It's a lot to be desired. I know if you're a Vikings fan or Lions or Packers fan, you might cringe at watching another sports show from another team in your division. But I'm telling you, it is must-see TV over there. They're doing a good job. It's more than Pay just over there. I mean, I know people enjoy Pay, but there's some dope, really good personalities on there, and you can learn a lot. It's very entertaining. But you can find me and Foster at Bleachers and Speakers on YouTube, and for your audio fixes, you can find us on all the aggregators as well. Just type in Bleachers and Speakers FFSN in your search. Make sure that notification bell is on, so when we drop content, you will get an alert. Also, download those episodes for us.
Yep, absolutely. They got some good content too. But I'll second it that over at the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fans, they've got some very entertaining hosts, not just Pay, that they're very passionate about
Yes.
their sports, and it's fun to watch.
I'm the least entertaining. You got, my co-hosts say I'm bringing down the vibe. So check
No,
that
I
out.
mean, you add a lot to it. I mean, it's different. Like they'll see some different things than what you bring to the table, but you bring a lot to the table, though.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So it's good to go. And of course, you can find us over at Vikings First and Skull. You've already found us if you're already here. You are watching, and you can get us on podcast every day as well, or just about every day. And we have some shows. Yesterday we had Sal on, and she had Vikings Guy on with her. And Vikings Guy, I'm like, who's Vikings Guy? Never heard of him, right? Well, I hadn't. He's a TikToker.
Oh, wow.
And a very good one. And we had him on, and the discussion was absolutely fantastic. He also works at US Bank Stadium, and he told stories, some US Bank Stadium secret style stories. And it wasn't bad. It was a good, entertaining show. Now tonight we have Tyler with the real Forno. He'll be on at 6:05, and he's talking about Forno's plan to glory for the Minnesota Vikings in 2025. This should be a good one. Let's see if he fixes the O-line finally or not. We'll find out tonight. But have you guys got any shows coming up, Foster?
Oh, we have a whole slew of new player profiles as far as NFL draft guys that'll be coming out in the next couple. They'll be out tonight/tomorrow. Tonight.
Yeah.
But yeah, look for the ramp up of the player profiles, especially once the combine starts, and some more names that you might not have expect. Some hot names that come out of the combine. We're definitely going to pay attention to those guys. So yeah, but outside of that, spring training, I think the Tigers' first game is on Saturday. So me and Coach will have a lot of coverage for that. And finally, the NBA will be back on Friday. So we got a thing called April in the D, and that's when everybody is playing hockey, Tigers, everybody. So it gets real. Not everybody. The Lions obviously don't start until later, but April in the D is a part where a lot of teams are playing. So it gets real busy around the March-ish April time.
Ooh. Pay, what's next on your docket?
You're going to start doing some ramp up work for the combine. I'm not a fan of mock drafts, but might do one after the combine. Just a preliminary, like, okay, so this guy stock up, stock down, something along those lines. But yeah, not necessarily player profile specific that we're going to do in the coming weeks, but more so our targets and would they be a good fit for what we expect to see out of Ben Johnson's iteration of the Bears.
I.e., like Aaron Rodgers coming in to back up Caleb Williams.
Or to, wash his jockstrap, whichever works.
Pressure starts.
All right. June, what do they say in Detroit? Pay.
Vicious.
What do they say in Chi-Town?
We say bear down there, Dave. Bear down.
And as always, Skull Vikings. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and rate us on your favorite podcast aggregator. Thank you for listening to this NFC North group effort on the Fans First Sports Network. This has been a frustrated Chicago sports fans, Bleachers to Speakers, Vikings First and Skull, and of course, the Fans First Sports Network production. Thank you for listening.